Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Proper Madness, formerly Beautifully Broken. My name is Sabby, and I give a unique perspective on mental health by providing tools, guidance, and knowledge on how we can better understand ourselves, as well as our past and present experiences, and in doing so, we can help heal our mental health. I get to speak with a variety of individuals from around the world as they share their stories from their journey through their mental wellness so that it helps others stand strong and use their voice. Welcome back, everyone, to Proper Madness. Today, I have Sara with me. She is such a wonderful soul. I stumbled upon her Instagram, gosh, I want to say maybe a year ago, and I've been a follower of hers for a while. I love what she does, and it is an honor to have her on, so I'll let her introduce herself to you.
Hi guys, I am Sara, also known as saggysara on Instagram. I post a bunch of stuff on there all about self-acceptance and body acceptance and a little bit of sprinkle of mental health in there as well. So yeah, that's what I do and what I've been doing for the last few years.
What inspired you to start your platform and get that going, and just start that whole journey?
Yeah, so I kind of accidentally, stumbled on this little journey. So I actually started posting consistently on Instagram in about like 2015, but I was posting like only fitness stuff and about my fitness journey. And I constantly posted photos of myself with my muscles flexed and like after workouts and taken from my best angles. And um, yeah, I initially got the idea to post self-acceptance and body acceptance stuff because I realized everything that I was posting was quite like curated and fake on my part because I would like look at myself in the mirror and look at the photos that I'm posting and there just was not any like consistency between it, and I would only look like that at a certain time of the day after a workout depending on what I ate and all of that. So I also noticed I was like comparing myself to a lot of people that I saw on social media and felt like I wasn't working out enough. I wasn't like being strict enough on my diet and all of that, and just kind of putting self blame on myself. And that's when I realized that other people might be looking at my fitness photos and thinking the same thing. So that's when I kind of started to post more body acceptance content. I think the first one that I posted was around October 2016. So after that, I've just, you know what, I'm gonna switch up on myself and start posting body acceptance content because it just made me feel so much better and like made me realize that I could actually help other people as well through what I post on Instagram rather than just keeping a diary of like my fitness journey.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think I myself used to do that, or well, I still do a little bit, like the compare game with social media, with when you
Yeah.
see, like, because I got into fitness, like, oh God, I think in 2013. And it's interesting when you start that journey, like, you yourself sometimes don't even physically see, like, what's, like, how your body is progressing. And then, like you said, you take pictures from certain angles because that's what's flattering on social media. And that's what
Yeah.
people like gravitate towards and what they like, and it's aesthetic, but it's not real at all. There's so
Yeah.
many moments, where like, oh my gosh, if I'm in like a certain phase of my workout journey, I'm not gonna look a certain way all the time, where hormones play a role too. So that's just so
Exactly.
I think it's amazing what you do. Do you ever get like people reaching out to you, like asking you, for advice or wisdom through that since you started doing that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like a lot of people have reached out. I remember when I first started out, I was speaking with like a lot of people who had like eating disorders and like just issues like that. And obviously I'm not like a professional, so I couldn't give like professional help or anything like that. But having like gone through an eating disorder as well, I did have like personal knowledge about it. So I could like spare like what little I knew to like
Mhm.
have someone that I could assist and like they could have someone to relate to, I guess, or just talk
Yeah.
about issues and things like that. So yeah, and I do still get messages like that as well, and it's just a lot harder to like keep replying
Yeah.
to everyone. But yeah, every now and then when I have like the emotional capacity and energy to like reply, I will.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I can't, that's probably like super overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, I feel you. I understand. I don't have like as big of a following, but I still get the same like people asking about like how I'm depressed, like what do I do? And it's tough because like I'm not a professional, so there's only so much I can say, So
Yeah.
so I understand because you want to help people and you want to like get them through and like be that light for them, but that's all you can do. You just share your journey and hope that it inspires them. What do you like the most about your platform and like how you've started and curated it?
So basically, like the thing that I love the most about it, I think, is connecting with people through the content and like in comments as well. Just, when you have like frequent commenters, you kind of like almost become like online friends and
Mm.
you're just like, oh, hey, bestie. And also like having neutral people through like Instagram has been really nice as well because sometimes it's like hard to make friends in person. So that's
Mm.
also been really, really cool finding like people who I can connect and relate to through Instagram. And they're like friends to me now, which is, yeah. And also like having like a platform that I can like create content on and just get into that like creative flow and kind of like throw up all that stuff in my brain that I've wanted to like get out there. It's really like fun once it goes into that flow and I can just make a post and then help people or like help myself through a
Mm.
post and sharing ideas and opinions. And I guess having like a safe space to do that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel like that's been like the most important part for me because like growing up I didn't really have like a super safe space to like express my emotions and things like that, so
Mhm.
having that online is so lovely.
I feel the same way. I think I've made the most lifelong friends through my podcast, which is
Yeah,
I never expected, I expect like, okay, like I don't expect friendship, but like you said, like when it kind of just falls into that place, like someone who just kind of gets you know what I mean? You're like, oh, we're
yeah,
both going through the same thing. We're both creating content. We're both creating art, or even just people, like you said in your comments. I've had a few of those as well. It's like the support is wonderful. That's the good side of social media, which is nice. But if you feel like talking about it, do you mind talking about like how you grew up and like how that impacted like your journey? I think you mentioned the eating disorder and then not being able to have a safe spaces.
yeah. So basically I was born in 96. Start at the beginning. No.
Once
um,
upon a time.
Once upon a time my parents no. So I'm from Finland and I moved to Singapore when I think I was around 3 and lived there for 12 years in total. But in between, like, I lived in Bangkok for 5 years. But basically, for like in my head, it's like I grew up in Singapore when someone asks, like, where are you from? I still say Finland, even though I grew up in Singapore technically. But it's one
Mhm.
of those like little confusing thingies. But yeah. And then after high school, I moved to South Africa and studied in university there. I studied psychology and got 2 degrees, and then moved back to Finland. And now I'm living in Finland. So it's like a lot of moving around. And even though I'm very like grateful and like privileged to have like the ability to have been staying in all these different countries and experiencing all the different countries, it's kind of like I never had like um a stable place to call home really. So I think that's where a lot of like the issues of never feeling like I fit in anywhere or like feeling like something is like home to me. I think that's where a lot of the like not having a safe space to like show up as I wish.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of that um those feelings like stem from moving around all the time. Sorry, this
Yeah.
flare's really glare.
It's okay. You look like an angel. That's what it looks like. No, you just like
It's like woo.
for anyone not we won't use the video, but like if you're listening, basically she has like a ray of sunshine. It looks like a rainbow around her face. But I think yeah, that makes sense, right? I think when you don't have a stable environment, your mind kind of follows too. It sucks. It's you don't have your own I don't want to say way of thinking, but you do. You're influenced by so many things, by so many
Yeah.
different outside resources. So
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I guess like with my family life, like usually like you have both of your parents, but my dad was never really like a stable father figure in my life, so I think that also like that's why me and my sisters never also really had like a fully safe space to be.
mhm,
So that also adds to like the whole feeling of that, and I think why it's so important for me to like create a sense of community and like openness and just
yeah.
accept everyone into the little squad. I don't know, like the little like if someone like comes onto my page and is like, oh, I feel like this, or I feel lost, or
Mhm.
like anything like that, instantly I'm just like, come, I will help you, or like I want to like connect with you, or like I don't know, whenever I read comments like that, it's that instant like mental connection, whether I like am able to reply in that moment or not. It's just, yeah, it fills my heart with joy though. Like,
Oh, yeah, no, that's
yeah.
wonderful. Because what you're doing is pretty dang inspirational, for God's sake. Like,
Thank
I struggle. Yeah, of course. Well, I am the most brutally honest person you'll ever meet. I feel like if I don't feel a certain way, I just don't say it. Don't say anything. But yeah, no. When anytime I feel like I've been struggling with my body image, which I still feel like we all do to an extent, we all struggle with comparing ourselves to people on the internet, because it's a highlight reel. I think you say that all the time, like social
yeah.
media is a highlight reel. Like, don't believe everything you see of all these angles. And I know that too from experience. Like anytime I do like any photo shoots for my content, my God, do I tear myself up. Just if like a certain angle is slightly different than what it was supposed to be in that moment. But it's just like, I don't know, you gotta, I mean, my God, like your phone has like all these little lenses on it. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not real life. It's,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it
Mhm.
can't capture everything that is in person, so
No, yeah, not at all. So what's your experience been like being, quote, an influencer? We kind of talked about this a little bit, but what would you say some of the struggles though that you have with like the overarching being an influencer and being someone that people look up to? Is there any like anything that you struggle with that at all?
yeah, definitely. Like I think with criticism and hate comments, it's really hard to not take it personally or like take it in a rude way, especially because when people are commenting, sometimes it can be quite brutal. And it's
No.
just like just like, okay, I understand your point, but you didn't need to be mean about it. Like
Oh no.
I don't know if you've like seen just like in general any comments. It's just like I don't know, especially when I'm on TikTok, just reading through
Mm,
random people's like because I always love looking at the comments because there's so many funny comments always. But just like on any random videos, um it'll be like sometimes people will say something, but like they could have said it so much nicer, but they
mm.
chose to say it so mean. And I just that's the thing I just don't like about being online sometimes. I'm like, why we gotta be so mean? But yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't had many yet. I had one once, and I
Yeah.
think my sister is just an incredibly overprotective person. So she
Same.
went, and I was like, "Oh no, I gotta please, like please don't say anything dumb. It's on the internet forever."
Yeah.
But no, she makes her comment, and then I'm like, "Oh boy." But even on YouTube, yeah, YouTube, I get a couple. Just I think, okay, whatever. Like I think yeah, the hate comments and the criticism, people don't understand. Like you see this perfect version of someone on social media. You don't know what they're struggling with, or if they have
Yeah.
depression, or if like I don't know, they could be really, really struggling, and your comment can just like send them off the edge.
Exactly. That's why I've like never left a hate comment in my life, and I've never like aggressively commented. I do the whole okay, disagree and scroll. And I don't like take a moment and I'm like, okay. But yes, I do understand like there are different people on the internet, and
Ugh.
people have different communication styles and all of that. I do have to like adjust to it as well. But that has been like a thing that at the beginning really affected me. But
Mm,
yeah, same as you, like I've just kind of like learned to brush it off. But like still some
yeah.
days, if I'm having a really bad day and I get like 10 hate comments in a row, I just cry.
Oh
And
man.
I'm like, ugh, really
That's
gotta
yeah.
hit me when I'm
That's
down.
oh, that's when they do it, huh? It's like just how that works. You're like, oh, I'm feeling like absolute crap today. This is okay. This is the moment that this is happening.
Yeah, but I also feel like when I am feeling like crap, it's more likely that my brain will pick out like
Mm,
negative things, when you're in that negative headspace. But yeah, that's just like one of the smaller parts. But I think also another thing that has really affected me over the years is like becoming overly critical on myself, because I try
mm.
to avoid those hate comments and all of those. And I'm like micromanaging every single word, every like little thing that I'm writing. And I get into those like little dips
Uh-huh.
and kind of like pull myself out of it. And I'm like, okay, don't like put yourself under a magnifying glass. Like
Mhm.
you can chill and be yourself and just see what happens. But yeah, and I think also just being hard on myself, like I've always been very like self-critical, I think. So yeah, that was always a thing that I was scared when I
Mhm.
put myself out there, that people would like judge what I have to say. Yeah, just whether it's good or bad, I would always just be scared of it. But over time, that has become good. And I'm like fine with it now.
How do you work on like mentally? Like, what's your? Because I struggle with that too. But how do you work through that? Because it sounds like you have really good self-talk and you're very self-aware.
I definitely do also do that. I feel like it's very human to go into the like self-criticism slope, I
Dips,
guess.
yeah. Huh, what would this be? Waves, waves.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what we've been trying to.
Woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think throughout the years I've gotten better with it because yeah, I've been doing this for quite a few years now. So I think over the last like the last like 2 years, I've gotten decent at it, where I'm kind of like, I know how to like separate myself from the comment and realizing that like, okay, like not everyone needs to like you or like what you have to say, and people can disagree and be mean. And majority of the time, if someone is saying like something mean about my body, that's just kind of like a passing by comment, like,
Mm.
oh, you're really ugly, or like, I hate your legs, or whatever, like random comments.
Man,
um
damn.
it's just like before it would like really get to me, but now I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, like that's fine, you can think that if you really want to think that, like it's okay, like you're allowed to
Mm.
say things, and yes, it is rude and you shouldn't say it. But like a lot of the time, a lot of insecure people may project things in comments and say negative things because it makes them feel better. So kind of in a way, I'm almost like, having realized that, like I almost not fully wish them healing, and but I'm like kind of like, it's okay, like you
Yeah.
can place this here, because I'd rather it be on me than somewhere else, where if someone's like not having a good day or like not feeling
Mm.
well and they decide to like troll or send hate to that person, then that's just it, rather throw it on me.
That's like super, that's like really admirable though of you. Because yeah, there's a lot of people who just mentally would not be able to take it or handle it in any way, you know?
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, it definitely does get to me. But like it's not like I'm like, hee hee, it's fine. Like again, if it's like a lot over one
Mm.
day, I'm like, ouch.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
tough. Like, because I mean, I see people go through it, right? But, and I know like at some point I will as well, because I preach mental health, but I'm not like a mental health professional. So I'm always like you said, trying to micromanage everything I say, like putting these little disclaimers,
yeah,
making sure I don't say the wrong thing, making sure, and now making sure I don't offend a certain category of individuals based on what I say. So it's like everything's just so filtered, and
yeah.
it can become like inauthentic to some point without us realizing it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's always like, I wish it could be like, okay, kind of put it out there and then take it as a learning curve, but
Mm.
with the offense that you may cause by doing that accidentally and without knowing it, yeah, it's kind of hard to like balance whether it's like good to like post it or keep it or like analyze it all. It's just like it's so many things to think about.
I don't know. It's like if you're going to be authentic and genuine, be authentic and genuine. I think that goes for it. It feels good to be seen through someone else's eyes through their own life. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
what is a moment of adversity that you've been through and how did you overcome it?
I'll just share this because I felt like, I mean, it was like the first thing that popped into my head. So, anyway.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in January, I actually found out that I got cheated on, or got told that I got cheated on in
Ooh.
my long-term relationship. And definitely, like, a thing that initially came with that was all of a sudden I was like so insecure in my body and comparing myself to the person that they cheated with and to like people's Instagram photos that this person who I was with had liked and all those things. And, you know, those like little details throughout the relationship that have been like red flags. I was like, oh no, I don't look like them, or like, oh, I look different. And yeah, so there was like a lot of body comparison that was hard to get over and keep, in a way, like I was too ashamed to like say what was happening like while I was posting on Instagram, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep going and ignore that this happened and pretend I'm fine. Meanwhile, like in reality, I was like breaking down almost every day and just not having a good time at all. But basically, through like the whole infidelity trauma, I guess. I don't know. Would
Mm.
you call Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's
Yeah.
valid. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel possibly like I still have anxiety and depression from it. Like I've always had anxiety, but the depression just hit me all over again. And yeah, I've been struggling with those like side effects from it. But yeah, it was just such a like intense thing to go through and then just not talk about it at all.
Mm.
So like the way that I got through a lot of it was because I started opening up to like my family and my friends, because during the time I was like too ashamed to like say anything. And yeah, I just started talking to them, and that's like when I kind of realized like a lot, like especially when you have been manipulated and
Mm.
have had gaslighting happen in a relationship, it's hard to like know what the truth is. So for me, the first step was telling my family and friends and saying like, this is what happened, and then telling them what the person I was in a relationship with had said, and then realizing there was even more manipulation. And
Oh,
so I feel like, yeah, not knowing what was reality and what was like not reality, you like getting help from close friends and people you trust is like a massive step in assisting in that and making you like kind of build that little sense of what is the word?
like emotional safety, trust.
Yeah, I think, yeah, emotional safety and trust, like a little
Yeah.
foundation again to like kind of start building off of that. And yeah, and then because I just moved to Finland, I didn't have a therapist anymore. So I had to like seek out therapy and all of that. And the way it works here in Finland was very different to how it was in South Africa when I was going to see a therapist. So that was really a whole mess to figure out.
Oh man.
But, you know, got through it with the help of my mom and her calling to make my appointments, which was really nice because
Oh,
I was just too anxious and I was like, oh, I'm 25 and I can't do this. So she got me an appointment and all of that. And eventually I started taking medication and all of that. And now I'm a lot more stable and good and happy. And I feel like I'm like finding myself again and like becoming back to like my old self. And yeah, I think a massive realization with all of this was like, if a person decides to cheat on you, it is never, ever, ever your fault. And the first thing you're going to do is, why did this happen to me? It's my fault. I should have done this, this, and this. It's no, that person should have never crossed your boundaries,
Mm.
should have never broken your trust and made the decision to do those things when they could have broken up with you and then done that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that was long story short.
No, that was very well said. Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that, you know. I myself have been through something similar like a few times, and the way that you described it is wonderful. But also I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that. And anyone who does have to deal with that, like your advice was perfect. It's never your fault, ever, ever, ever. It's as you were describing, like comparing yourself to the person that you were like that person like cheated on you with.
Yeah.
Man, I've been there so many times, even in like early stages of dating too, because I had the infidelity trauma. I
Oh,
would think,
yeah.
oh, this person's liking this person's picture. That's the type of like women or men or whatever that they like. Maybe that's how I need to be. That's how I need to dress. And then you start changing yourself, and it's like it's a
Yeah.
nightmare and a half.
Yeah, it's so difficult. And I think it is another thing that you need to be reminded of, or like just be kind to yourself, even when you have those thoughts. Like a lot of people, or like, I feel like in society, a lot of people say, like, oh, that's like crazy behavior to like
Mm.
look at like what photos they're liking and stuff. But like when you have infidelity trauma, you will like do these things that like may feel like crazy to like other
Mm.
people, but to you it makes sense and it's a response from the trauma. And you
Yeah.
have to be kind to yourself and not like label yourself as like you're being crazy or anything like that, because like I don't know, for me I always think crazy because that's what my ex used to say, like, oh, you're
Mm.
being crazy. So that's like ingrained in my brain now, like, oh, if I get jealous of this and this, I'm being crazy. And no, be kind to yourself. Trauma.
Trauma is drama, damn it.
Yes.
Um, no, that's actually advice I probably need to hear, to be honest. Yeah, I completely resonate with that because it's tough. Like you said, like I still have those moments of jealousy and comparing myself, and even I would do it with fitness because these girls are like in such good shape, and
Oh yeah.
I'd like throw myself into like lifting more cardio, less it was just bad.
Mm.
And want to like quote glow up in spite of these situations. But I was still always comparing myself and stuck in that cycle. And it can get really ugly. And like you said, like it's okay though, because like that's how your brain's going, okay, I need to protect myself. How can I do this? All right, let's become a CIA agent and figure out exactly what we need to do so we don't get hurt again, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I feel you on that. Even though it like in a way hurts your own feelings, but
Mm.
it's just the response. But
Yeah.
the needing to get out of that response and control over trying to not get hurt again as
Mm.
well.
No,
That's
that's so
hard.
true.
But that's why
I'm
you got to be
still,
nice to yourself.
I know. Yeah, you're so right. I'm still trying to work on that for sure. Like trying to be like, okay, like part of loving or being in love or being in any relationship, you will get hurt at some point. The person's going to hurt
Yeah.
you. They might say something, you get into an argument, whatever. Um, it's inevitable, but we like are so hung up on like, no, it cannot happen.
I feel like society also like because of all the like romantic movies we've had
Oh,
growing up, we're just like, ah yes, perfect love exists. We need it all the
right?
time. Why is my
Oh,
relationship have arguments, even though that's normal?
so normal. Yeah, it's so normal to have conflicts in any relationship.
Conflicts. That's the word.
Yeah. It's okay.
Argument.
It's the same.
Yes.
Yeah, argument, conflict. I've been this is so random. I watch Love Island, and you
Oh,
can
I've watched
see
one season of it.
okay, well, listen, you gotta watch the new season, please. But
Okay.
the way that they manage their conflicts are like they have a conflict, but then they don't go running away from each other. They talk it out, they digest it, They go, okay, this is how I'm feeling, this is how you that's how it should be. Like someone shouldn't just be like, oh, I don't fancy you anymore, see ya, I'm gonna, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's not normal. I feel like people think that's normal, and it's not.
Yeah, because I actually remember when I watched the one season of Love Island, I was just like, wow, they are so confrontational. And they're just like, can I pull you for a chat? And I'm like, I could never go up to like someone and be like, hey, I have an issue. Can we talk about it? I'm always just like, breathe, breathe.
No, same. I did this. I have the same. Well, I used to. Now I'm like, I think I'm normally good at conflict management. Like anytime there's a
That's really
conflict
good.
now. It took me a while to get there though, just because in my previous relationships, like I also dealt with like the gaslighting and the lying and the making you feel quote crazy because your intuition is picking up on something, and you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm crazy, but you're scared to confront it and go through that conflict because you're like, oh no. But for me, it was like I didn't want them to abandon me, so
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, now it took me time, but I just kind of go in there calmly and I'm like, listen, let's just lay out all the facts and the feelings and like try to see, like, because most of the time when you have conflicts, it's just two people seeing things very differently, and their communication styles isn't lining up, so you
Yeah.
just kind of have to like recalibrate it. It was very off topic, but yeah.
I'm proud of you though, and that was something that I needed to hear now because I just took that in and I'm like, I want to get to that point, and that is something I really need to work on. So
You let me
thank
know.
you for sharing
Actually.
that though.
Yeah,
Like
of course,
it
of
did help
course.
me.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, it's scary because you don't know how they're going to react, especially like if you're normally involved in like dating people who are more unfortunately emotionally toxic and like abrasive or
Yeah.
incredibly passive aggressive. It can get frustrating, but I always remind myself that I'm not responsible for someone else's emotions. It's very easy to take that on and go, oh no, it's all my fault, but it's not. Like you just do the best that you can. And if someone has an
Yeah.
issue, they have to verbalize it. If they don't, it's not your problem.
Exactly. And I was also thinking if you are like confronting someone and they respond in like kind of an emotionally immature way, it's like, do you really want to be with that person? And it kind of like
Mm.
shows you that side and can help you also.
No, that's so true. Yeah, you're right. I had a situation like that recently. I went, oh boy, true colors. What's been some of the lessons you've learned with social media and body acceptance?
The one thing that I haven't mentioned is that the fact that body acceptance is never linear. Like I'll go through little dips of like, oh, I don't really like my body today. And that is completely normal. It again, very human feeling. Like you won't feel 100% all the time, and you can't expect yourself to ever feel that way. And I feel like a thing with running this body acceptance page, it's kind of like in a way I almost expected to like present myself 100% every day and be feeling all good about my body, but having that realization that it'll have its ups and downs and that's so normal, like has been a massive lesson that I've learned through, yeah, having this page and kind of posting about that as well, and realizing it's not just me, it's everyone has
Mm.
these feelings. And yeah, I guess also another thing that I've learned through social media as well is like kind of comparing myself to other content creators and being like, is what I'm doing enough? Is it
Mm.
like, I wish I could show up in the ways that they do, or like post this same kind of content, or like similar things, or like, why didn't I think of that idea? But then, like, having the realization that there's enough space for everyone to exist and show up
Mm.
as they wish to. And yeah, I just wish I knew that like when I started, because there would be that like whole comparison thing. There's just a lot of comparison on social
Yeah.
media, I feel like. Yeah.
No, I still struggle with that. Actually, recently I was like going through a lot of self-doubt with my content. And I was like, I
Yeah.
should be like this person because they're successful and they're doing well and they have all these followers. But then you lose sight of like the why behind why you even started to begin with. So it's good that you caught that
Yeah.
so early. Or well, yeah, early enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely still creep in every now and then, but like whenever it does, I'm like, okay, stop the comparison. Let's breathe and take a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Found in the present moment.
It's tough. It's tough to stay present. A lot of people struggle with that still. Like
That's
all
why I
the
got it tattooed.
distractions. Oh, I love that though. Oh man. I might get it. Hang on. May add
Yeah,
another
I was
one.
just like, woo.
I know. I was like, when you're talking and like looking at your tattoos, I'm like, oh my God, I really like this piece. Maybe that'll be my next one.
Yeah. If you know me, I'm very like, once I get to know people, I'm very like, seem extroverted and very
Mm,
loud, but that's only when I'm like super comfortable. So it's always been like kind of weird to not show that side really on
yeah.
my stories or things like that. So I'm trying more. But again, like the fear of being judged, I think for me is a massive thing that I have like worked on and still have to work on. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, before it was worry about showing my body as it is naturally and not flexed or posed. And that's what I'm doing now. So there's always room for growth. So that's good.
But yeah, it's always ever evolving and changing, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm the same too, actually. When people meet me, they think I'm quite reserved and quiet. And then they get to know me, they're like, you're a total weirdo. I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
I'm super strange.
Yes. But it's always like fun getting to like know someone and get to that stage and you're like, woo.
Like everyone's weird in their own way. Just some people's
Yeah.
weird matches each other's weird. How do you hope to make a difference in your followers' lives?
So yeah, like I really wish I could just like the only hope that I have is that I could make someone feel a bit more comfortable within themselves or with their insecurities or with their body or just like day-to-day mental health things, like maybe feeling less alone if they also do struggle with anxiety or depression or other mental health issues, like just feeling less alone in the world, I think, because a lot of the time when we are scrolling on social media, we kind of are doing it to zone out of
Mm.
reality. So if I can kind of bring you back to touch with reality or like bring you to accept a part of you more, then that's like my ultimate goal and wish.
There's always good in something and the bad things in our life. I think we forget that. Like even in like
Definitely.
the shittiest times, there's always some sort of like underlying blessing.
Yeah, like going back to like getting cheated on because now I like look at every single relationship that I'm like going into or like anything like that and I'm like, why didn't I have a list of like things that I look for in people? Like I never had that. I was just kind of like, oh, I like you. Why? I don't know. Just like why didn't I have like qualities or like aspects or like, and then yeah, so that was a thing that I also worked on.
If anyone has resonated with anything that you've talked about or been through, what would be your advice to them?
But like regarding just body acceptance or accepting your body, like the biggest reminders that I have is that your body, the appearance of it, is the least interesting thing about you. You're more than your outer appearance. And everything that's in your brain, like your interests, your hobbies, those are like the things that matter and your personality. And at the core of who you are, that is you. And yes, your body does carry you to places, but doesn't matter at all what it looks like, just as long as you can kind of learn to just accept it. It'll make life a lot easier. And I know that'll be an up and down journey and it'll probably take a while, but it's so worth it. And yeah, you should place more energy into growing your body acceptance or looking into body neutrality rather than saying negative comments about your body or being around people who make negative comments about their body or yours or any unsolicited comments and things like that. But yeah, just know that you're also not alone ever. There is always people to help or people that you can reach out to, whether that's like a professional. If there isn't professional help available to you, then reach out to a close friend, or you can go on people's pages, not just mine. Like, there are other people who do body acceptance stuff, and you can also go into their comments and just comment, and sometimes people will reply to those comments, and then you can connect with them, and that might be someone who you can share like things with and just talk to if you feel like you don't have anyone else to talk to, because you're not alone. Well, if you want to check out my page, you can find me on Instagram and on TikTok by the username saggysara, SAGGYSARA. And yeah, that is where I will be.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
I really
you so much
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Thank you so much for listening, and remember, you have to go through the eye of the storm to see the clear horizon ahead. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next week.